During its 7 decades of ruling in China, the Chinese Communist Party has become more skilled at crushing street protests such as the 1989 Tiananmen Square student demonstrations. But the government is now facing a new form of protests that may be a little harder to settle down: tangping, or lying flat. A passive approach to life that subtly prevents the government's desire to promote a hardworking and productive people. While their country's leader has encouraged citizens to work harder and dream big, some Chinese millennials are declaring their loyalty to the art of being average. Hello everyone, welcome to the World of China, a channel to explore China. In today's video, we're talking about the lying flat movement. These Chinese millennials are chilling, and Beijing isn't happy. So stay tuned and give this video a big thumbs up. The concept promotes an almost monastic outlook, including not getting married, not having children, not having a job, not owning property, and consuming as little as possible. For many, this is almost the only way in a tyrannical country to fight against the growing pressures from long work hours, skyrocketing housing prices, and the ever higher cost of raising children. Lifestyle philosophies based on rejecting ambition and being a cog in China's capitalist machine have been spreading in recent years, and lying flat is the latest summit of such trends. The internet buzzword symbolizes many things. Simply put, many who embrace the attitude choose not to work hard, not to buy apartments or cars, and not to get married or have children. These Chinese society anticipates a responsible, functional adult to do, but they all seem to reflect one attitude, defined by an op-ed that represents a silent protest to unfairness, often the result of structural and institutional factors that can no longer be altered by personal efforts. A Buddhist youth wants nothing because she or he expects nothing. Win or lose, adversity or good fortune, they accept it all. Nicknamed Buddhist youth, these young people have embraced a laissez-faire approach to life which has more to do with being chilled out than reading sutras. Life is quite tiring, said 23-year-old Guo Jia, who believes being a Buddhist youth means accepting the things you cannot change and going with the flow. They are the latest in a chain of subcultures to achieve online fame in China, with labels like greasy uncles, a type of arrogant yet slovenly middle-aged man, to cultured youth, the Chinese equivalent of a hipster. Some of these labels have been convicted by authorities, but Buddhist youth has been greeted appropriately with indifference. When Mr. Guo first arrived in Beijing, everything from working at his finance job to riding the subway made him anxious. Like many of the nation's youth strivers, he came to the capital eager to meet the high expectations he had set for himself. But more than a year later, he has found peace in letting things be. Mr. Guo said, "I haven't been able to stop caring about everything, but these days I'm generally calm and unperturbed. It's enough to just be content with life." Haning, a 32-year-old infrastructure financing, who's asked not to use her second name, has spent 3 weeks working from the exotic city of Dali in southern China and described herself as half lying flat. She doesn't believe the efforts of government media will have much success in ending the movement. She wrote in a text, "Unless the society undergoes some structural changes, for instance, there's no more involution, more and more young people choosing to lie flat will be the trend." Miss Lin Kexin, a 20-year-old student in eastern Fujian province, said she began to identify more like a Buddhist youth after acting too impulsively on a romantic crush. "That was tiring," she said. The trend has ever caught the attention of the People's Daily, the official paper of the ruling Communist Party, which published 2 articles on Buddhist youth last week. This may just be a way for young people to explore their position in society, the Daily said, admitting that the identity was a reaction to life's quick rhythms. Such statements are questioned in Mr. Xi Jinping's China, where the president has endeavored to mobilize young people, in particular around the notion of the Chinese dream. The evaluation is positive compared to the government's reaction to San culture, another Chinese millennial attitude that has cropped up in recent years. In contradiction to Buddhist youths who pledged to maintain a neutral outlook, the Sang lifestyle is characterized by cruel, cynical desperation, an approach the People's Daily called pessimistic and hopeless. Years of a strict one-child policy and a rapidly developing economy have placed great pressure on young people to succeed academically and get ahead professionally. Now, some of them are happily resigned to being average. China's leadership, however, this movement of passive resistance to the national drive for development is a worrying trend, a threat to ambition at a time when Xi Jinping has made grand ambition to zeitgeist of his so-called new era. Chinese leaders have staked the country's future on innovation. In its latest blueprint for national economic development, China has pledged to end its reliance on important technology and to focus on domestic consumption as the primary driver of growth. At a conference in May for engineers and scientists, Chinese leader Xi Jinping urged greater independence in science and technology, which would serve, he said, as the strategic support for national development. China's drive toward technological independence has raised alarm bells in the West, where a resurgent China powered by a leading technology industry is widely considered the key strategic challenge of the 21st century. But these fears all too often fail to consider the internal obstacles facing Beijing's push toward tech supremacy. Among them is one very low-tech problem: a prevailing sense of social and professional stagnation. The Chinese government feels alarmed by the trend. If widely adopted, they fear that neologism can be a threat to a country that's struggling with a slowing economy and an aging population. In May, the Chinese government announced that it would now allow couples to have up to 3 children in an attempt to boost population growth. Lying flatism is seen by some as the only possible form of resistance to the cycle of exploitation. One of the dominant slogans of the lying flat movement has been, "Don't buy property, don't buy a car, don't get married, don't have children, and don't consume." For this reason, calls to lie flat have doubly concerned China's leadership, as they threaten both to sap the country of the ambition to innovate and to knock down the second leg of the country's long-term development strategy, to drive consume. For many of China's young workers, struggling through a 12-hour workday and bracing for the next loan payment, such sloganeering about stimulation may sound separated from the personal hope for renewal, for better pay, better working conditions and protections, and more security. With or without anti-slogans like lying flat, the attitudes of China's white-collar workers seem to be changing. A recent survey by Xiaopin, a leading career platform in China, found that more than 80% of white-collar respondents mentioned fair treatment and respect by companies as the most important factor in company cultures. Workers generally rejected 996 and wolf culture, hoping instead for more balance and humanity. Despite criticisms from the official media and some public intellectuals, many Chinese people see the trend as a natural reaction to the ruthless pressure of modern life. A poem that went viral on WeChat reads, "Lying flat is to not bow down. Lying flat is not to kneel. Lying flat is standing up horizontally. Lying flat is a straight spine." The Chinese lying flat movement illustrates a renouncement of the famous grind culture that dominated the previous eras. But it has largely been limited to the middle-class Chinese in Beijing, Shenzhen, and other major cities, propagating the obscure sections of social media. The poorer youth population, on the other hand, don't have the luxury of doing anything because they lack a safety net, and in most cases are the sole earners in their families. But one thing's for sure, the way we work is changing. Well, that's all for today. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked this video, then give this video a big thumbs up and share it. To know the full story about the lying flat culture, check out our previous video. The link is given in the description below. Enjoy it, and for more exciting videos, subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon. I'll be back with another exciting video soon. Till then, check out our channel for more exciting videos and stay tuned.